Hello everyone, welcome to Vysh IAS. So from today we'll be starting a new YouTube series, that is Plums Prelims Level Up MCQ series. Okay, so what we'll be doing is on a daily basis we'll be having 5 MCQs related to prelims, okay, or in the same lines of UPSC prelims pattern. Okay, so my subject is Polity, Governance and Schemes, and what I'll be doing is on every Wednesday I'll be handling daily 5 MCQs from this subject, Polity, Governance and Schemes, and those 5 MCQs, it will be taken from the most important themes which are related to this subject. As you all know, Polity, Governance and Schemes, this single portion plays a very important role in your UPSC prelims. Okay, you will be getting frequent number of questions from this area, and most of the questions are predictable and repeated also. So it's very important that you have to prepare this portion very effectively. Okay, so if you are aware, the prelims 2023 is scheduled on May 28th, 2023. So now it's December. So if you are going to religiously practice from today, then prelims is going to be a cakewalk for you. Okay, so if you're someone new to this channel, please consider subscribing this channel, and here you'll be getting free videos daily. Okay, and if you're looking for a good quality test series also, you can contact the number given on the screen. Okay, so the number is 7200681675. Okay, so without further delay we'll start. So here you can see the MCQ number 1 displayed on the screen. So what you can do is you can just pause and read the question and try attempting. See, that's how you have to brainstorm yourselves. You have to apply all those elimination techniques which you have learned from the previous videos. Okay, White sir himself has explained some elimination techniques related to prelims. So all those techniques you have to apply while solving the questions. Then only you will be in a situation to attempt questions in the real UPSC exam with ease. Okay, so what you can do is just pause the video and read this question and try attempting this question. Okay, and if you are getting the answer, be with it. I'll be explaining the solution. Okay, so consider the following statements. The powers under clause 2 of 129 could be subject to any law made by the Parliament, whereas there is no such restriction as far as Article 142 is concerned. Then Section 5 of Contempt of Courts Act 1971 sometimes compromise the freedom of speech and expression under Article 19. Then the third statement reads, expression contempt of court has not been defined by the Constitution. Fourth statement is, in India, Parliament is vested with the powers to make laws on the contempt of court. So if you look at the first statement, it is actually interchanged. UPSC has this habit of interchanging the articles and asking the questions. So you need to be very clear. Okay, the concept are very clear. Whatever is there in Lakshmikant, that alone you have to prepare. But the concept should be very clear. If you see Article 129 and 142, the explanation has been swapped. In this manner, the question has been asked. Okay, so if you see Article 142 is dealing with the restriction. Okay, Article 142 states that the Supreme Court can take steps to prevent the contempt of court. The Supreme Court can actually take steps to prevent the contempt of court, but this power has been regulated by the Parliament. Whereas in Article 129, there is no restriction from the side of Parliament. Supreme Court is the supreme authority. Okay, whereas in the question part, you can see that this has been swapped. So this statement is not true. Then again, if you see this statement 2, Section 5 of Contempt of Court Act sometimes compromise the freedom of speech and expression under Article 19. See, these kinds of statements are also expected in the coming years because UPSC is having a detailing. UPSC is going deeper into the detailing part. Okay, so you can expect these kind of questions and statements also in the coming years. So if you see, this statement is also correct because in this act, in this particular act, no, Contempt of Courts Act, it has been stated that Supreme Court can decide what is a fair comment or what is a fair criticism. If someone is going to criticize the Supreme Court actions, that Supreme Court can decide whether that criticism is fair or not. But what is this fair or unfair? That is actually left to the interpretation of judges. So Supreme Court is having that loophole. It can actually make this provision to exploit the freedom of speech and expression of the public. If you are going and telling that Supreme Court has not taken a good step, Supreme Court can tell, no, you are not, you are actually breaching the Supreme Court dignity. Okay, so this statement is also correct. Actually, this Contempt of Court Act is actually infringing upon the Article 19 or the right to freedom of speech and expression. So even this statement is also correct. Then coming to the third statement, the expression contempt of court has not been defined in the Constitution. Again, these kind of statements are very frequently asked in UPSC prelims. They'll give some terms and they'll ask like if it is mentioned in the Constitution or it is defined in the Constitution. So this also you have to be very clear. And coming to the judiciary part of the Indian polity, you have to prepare it in a religious manner. Every year questions will be coming from this part. Okay, so even this statement is correct. Expression contempt of court has not been defined by the Constitution. It is mentioned but it is not defined. So this statement is also correct. Then coming to the fourth statement, in India Parliament is vested with the powers to make laws on the contempt of court. Yes, this statement is correct, because this act name itself Contempt of Courts Act 1971. So it has to be some law which is passed by the Parliament only. So Parliament is vested with the powers. Okay, so if you see, the question is asking which of the following statements are correct. Okay, so if you see this statement, one is not correct. We already know one is not correct. If one is not correct, we can eliminate 1, A, B and C, and we reach at the answer 2, 3 and 4. Okay, so this is how you have to apply the elimination techniques. Okay, so I hope this answer is clear. Then coming to the MCQ number 2. So it's related to joint sitting. Again, the questions from the area Parliament. Okay, Parliament is very important in UPSC polity. So please revise it 2 or 3 times, because you are going to get some 3 to 4 questions from this area alone. Okay, so please prepare it religiously. Then the first statement says that provision of joint sitting is applicable to ordinary bills or financial bills only, and not to money bills or constitutional amendment bills. Second statement, since 1950, the provision regarding the joint sitting of the houses has been invoked only thrice. Third statement reads, the Speaker of Lok Sabha presides over a joint sitting, that is the two houses, joint sitting of the two houses and the Deputy Speaker in his absence. And the question is asking which of the following are correct. Okay, so if you see these different types of bills, no, this money bill, financial bill 1, 2, constitution amendment bill, ordinary bill, all these bills you have to be very clear what is the correct procedure for the passing of different kinds of bill, and who are the stakeholders involved in it. All these things should be crystal clear for your examination. So if you see, this provision is applicable only to ordinary bills or financial bills. Yes, this statement is true. And if you can remember in this way also, it's fine. Joint sitting, it's not applicable to constitution amendment bill and money bills. Okay, other than this, all other bills the Parliament can go for joint sitting. Okay. Then the second statement reads, since 1950, provision regarding joint sitting of the houses has been invoked only thrice. These kinds of statements are also seen in the recent years. That's why I have took this statement. Okay, you have to be very clear on these kind of statements also. If something is important, joint sitting, it's important from the perspective of Parliament, and it's a standard topic also. So if you are getting some 2 or 3 points extra, maybe UPSC can ask those points also. So it's important to take care of this. It's important to take care of this dowry prohibition bill also. Which all bills are related to this? So I'll tell dowry prohibition bill, then banking service commission, prevention of terrorism bill. In these 3 bills, joint sitting has been successful. So they are trying to convey that joint sittings are not always successful. Okay, most of the times Lok Sabha is having an upper hand, but with regard to these 3 bills, no, dowry prohibition bill, banking service commission and prevention of terrorism bill, in these 3 bills joint sittings have been successful. Okay, so that you have to remember. So this statement is correct. Then third statement is a standard statement. It's directly given in the Lakshmikant only. So this statement is also correct. So the question is asking which of the above are correct. So if you see, all the 3 statements are correct. So the answer is D. Okay. Now moving on to the third question. So third question, it is about the schedules of the Constitution. See, regarding the schedules of the Constitution also, you will get frequently questions. Okay, you have to be very clear what each schedule is talking about. Okay, that is an important area in polity. So here the question is about 5th schedule. And out of the schedules also, 5th and 6th schedules are very, very important, that you have to be very clear. Okay, so which of the following statements are consequence of it? Okay, Sixth schedule in the Indian Constitution established autonomous district councils in 4 northeastern states: Assam, Meghalaya, Tripura and Mizoram. See, these kinds of factual information UPSC can trick you. They'll give this Assam, Meghalaya, Tripura and some other states they'll be giving. Instead of Mizoram, maybe they will give some Nagaland or something. So these kinds of data you have to be very clear, and you can use some mnemonics to study. If I have to tell here, I have studied this like ATM money, this Assam, then Tripura, Meghalaya and Mizoram. Okay, so like that you can build upon your own mnemonics and remember these things. Okay, so this statement is correct. Then the second statement reads, the sixth schedule was originally intended for the predominantly tribal areas of the undivided Assam, which was categorized as excluded areas under the Government of India Act 1935. Okay, so this statement is also a standard fact. This is also correct. Okay, so actually this sixth schedule, sixth and fifth schedule, both the schedules are intended to give the tribal people or the excluded sections of people, no, they have to be incorporated into the mainstream society. So what the government is trying to do is, government is trying to respect the privacy of those people. So that is the reason why fifth and sixth schedule is inserted in the constitution. Okay, so that you have to be clear. Then if you are coming across such questions, you have to make clear that you know all the constitutional provisions related to that part. So if you look at the fifth schedule, immediately you should remember article number 244 and 275, because these are standard article number. In case UPSC is going to ask a question relating to the article number only, you can easily attempt a question. So whenever you are coming across some standard topics like fifth or sixth schedule, you have to make clear that you also know the corresponding article numbers related to that provision. Okay, then the rationale behind the creation of ADC, I have already told, it is to like respecting the tribal autonomy. Okay, they are having their own indigenous identity and all, no, so government needs to respect that. That is the reason why sixth and fifth schedules are inserted in the constitution. Okay, then coming to MCQ number 4, which of the following statements are correct? A reads that first general elections under the new constitution of India was held during the year 1951-52 and the first elected parliament came into existence in April 1954. Okay, so if you look at this statement, most of the times if UPSC is giving some years and all, no, all those information will be most probably wrong. So here the year is given wrong. Actually the year is 1952. 1952 the first elected parliament came into existence. It's not in 1954. So this statement is not correct. Then representatives of each union territory in Rajya Sabha are directly elected by the members of electoral college. See, these kinds of statements you have to be very cautious while attending the examination. Okay, so this is a very standard statement and it's a important topic also, but most of the people, most of the students, they'll get mistake in this. Okay, why? Because here a slight mistake is there. The representatives of UT from the Rajya Sabha, they are not directly elected, but they are indirectly elected. Okay, whether it's from union territories or the states, they are only indirectly elected. Lok Sabha is only having the direct elections. Rajya Sabha, wherever you see direct election, it's not true. Okay, so people may not be out of the exam pressure, they may not look at the statement, they may not properly read the statement. Okay, so you have to be in a situation to handle the exam pressure and you should not leave your presence of mind. Okay, so this statement is also wrong because of this single word, directly elected. It's not directly elected, it is indirectly elected. Then the third statement, President also nominated 2 members from the Anglo-Indian community, but by the 96th amendment this provision was valid only till 2020 only. Okay, so like this also the important amendments from 1 to 100, okay, or 1 to recently 103 amendment has been passed. Okay, so the important amendments, not all the amendments, but the important ones you should be familiar with. Okay, and whenever they are giving this amendment number also, most probably it can be wrong. So here in this case also it's wrong. It's actually not the 96th amendment, it's actually 95th amendment. By this 95th amendment, this particular provision was cut off. Before this amendment, 2 members from Anglo-Indian community also had representation in Lok Sabha. Okay, so even this statement is not correct. Then the fourth statement, Lok Sabha controls the Council of Ministers. Is it a direct statement? True, no confidence motion. Lok Sabha is having a no confidence motion. When the Lok Sabha is passing the no confidence motion, the Council of Ministers will have to resign. And you already know that the Council of Ministers is collectively responsible to Lok Sabha. Okay, that is the parliamentary form of government. So this statement is correct. So if you look at the answer of this question, D is the correct answer. Okay. Then whenever you are coming across, I have already told, no, these are important topics only. So whenever you are coming across such portions, try to collect some 2 or 3 points extra from this topic only, because even if UPSC is trying to ask some inner meaning questions, or even if UPSC is trying to ask some more detailed questions, you can actually apply the elimination techniques with the non-details only. Okay, so it's not like you have to collect all the points related to these related to these topics, but 1 or 3 points extra. Okay, after covering the Lakshmikant, suppose if you take a portion like Parliament, after covering the portions from Lakshmikant, if you can collect from 4 or 5 points extra, then it suffices. Okay, even if UPSC is going to ask a more detailed question, then you can actually attempt the question very easily. So I'll be telling some points here. The first general elections under the new Constitution of India, it was held in 1952. This is a standard fact. So you can easily remember that. Okay. Then this is a standard fact. The representatives are indirectly elected. Okay. And 95th Amendment. This also you can remember. It was through the 95th Amendment. It is a recent amendment. No. So you have to remember like that. Okay. Then coming to the MCQ number 5. So schemes, important schemes are also important from the UPSC perspective. Here MPLADS scheme, Members of Parliament Local Area Development Schemes. Similarly MG Narega. Then PM Kisan. All these schemes, it's frequently in news. So the questions related to schemes are also important in UPSC, and many times you can apply the elimination techniques only. You need not know all the points related to all the schemes. You take a scheme and you have to collect some 5 or 6 standard points related to that scheme. Okay, with this 5 or 6 points, you can attempt the questions. You can actually do the elimination technique and attempt the questions. So here the first statement is, it is a central sector scheme. Here also UPSC is very fond of creating tricks in it. Okay, so they will give like it's a centrally sponsored scheme or it's a central sector scheme. If it is a central sector scheme, they'll try to manipulate you by giving the statement as it's a centrally sponsored scheme. Okay, so in this case it's a central sector scheme only, it's not a centrally sponsored scheme. This statement is correct because it's a central sector scheme only. Okay, next, the process under MPLADS starts with the Member of Parliament recommending works to the Nodal District Authority. Yes, this statement is also true. And every year MP receive 5 crore in 2 installments. See, with regard to the important schemes, you also have to know this data. See, remembering 5 crore and all, it's not a big task. If some decimal points, 2.22 crores, like that you need not remember. An approximate amount you have to remember. If it's 6.12 crore, then you can remember like approximately 6 crore was allotted. Okay, so getting an approximate idea on these important schemes becomes important. Okay, so that's the statement. This is also true. And whether these funds are lapsable or not, all these points are helping you to apply the elimination technique. In this case, these funds are non-lapsable only. So this is also correct. So the correct answer is 1, 2 and 3 only. Okay. And since this is also an important scheme, you have to dig deeper into it. So here Lok Sabha and MPs, this is a scheme wherein the MPs will be recommending works to the Gram Panchayats or something. Okay, so this Lok Sabha MP, what is the difference between Lok Sabha MP and Rajya Sabha MP in this MPLADS scheme? So with regard to the Lok Sabha MPs, they will recommend the district authorities in their Lok Sabha constituencies. They can recommend in their constituencies only. Whereas with regard to the Rajya Sabha MP, they can recommend works in any part of the country. Okay. Any part of the country, not any part of the country, the state from which they are elected. Okay, so if you take a state like Karnataka, it is having some, let's suppose that it is having some 5 constituencies. Okay, so an MP from one constituency, an MP from constituency number 1, he or she can recommend works in this constituency only, whereas a Rajya Sabha MP from Karnataka, he or she can recommend works in any part of Karnataka. That is the point. Okay, so this is very important. Okay, please note this point. Then the nominated members of both Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha, they can recommend works anywhere in the country. And to enable MPs to recommend works of developmental nature uh, the, the areas, the primary areas is drinking water, primary education, public health, sanitation, etc. Okay, so these are the key areas which is focused. Okay, so that's all for today. Thank you.